Alright, so I'm just going to show you how to unhitch the caravan when you arrive on site. So first of all, put the handbrake on, make sure the caravan's not going to roll away. Pull this up, just check that this is extended here. If you've just stopped suddenly or reversed the caravan, that'll be compressed. So you need to put the handbrake on and then jump in the car and just drive forward a little bit until this extends out. Otherwise, when you take it off the tow ball, it'll suddenly pop out and hit the back of your car. So go into the boot at the front here. Grab the jockey wheel, that's the step for the front. So outside at the moment. Right, grab the jockey wheel, and do the clamp. So put it in on the bottom rib there, otherwise you might not be able to get the front of the camera low enough. If your car's quite high, you may have to put it on the next one up, and then once you get the van off, you might have to put the stabiliser legs down, remove the jockey wheel, and then move it down, depending on how flat the ground is that you're staying on. So wind that up there. And pull this handle as you're winding it up. Like that. And just got to unhook everything. So you've got the emergency brake there that'll pull the brakes on if the caravan comes off. And so undo the safety chain. Just pop that over there, and then just unplug the cables. So that power cables down here. So you got the main trailer light plug. So there's a 7-pin to a 12-pin plug there. So if you've got a 12-pin, you can just take that adapter off, plug it straight in. Otherwise, use the adapter there. There is also a spare adapter in the tool bag, just in case this one isn't working for some reason if it gets damaged, because that has happened before. And then you got these plugs here. So the grey plug goes to the fridge power and charges the battery in the caravan. The red plug is for the Alco ATC stability control. So if you do have an Anderson plug on your car and you've only got one, then there's an adapter there to plug that in to power both things. If you've got two plugs, then you don't need that adapter. So the benefit of that is if you've got an Anderson plug on your car, you can run the fridge off your car battery or off your car alternator while you're driving, keep the stuff cold, and the stability control will also work. So sort of helps prevent the caravan from losing control if it starts to wobble, or if you have to make any evasive manoeuvres on the road. So pretty handy feature to have. So when you plug that in, there's a little indicator light here that'll show up red to start with, and then it will go green to show that it's all working properly. So yeah, just make sure that's gone green if you've got that plugged in, and you're all right to go. So when that comes on, basically if the van starts wobbling around or you go over a lot of rough terrain, you'll feel the brakes on the caravan actually get activated. So that's normal, that's how it's supposed to work. So if you do feel the brakes come on the caravan when you're not putting the brakes on the car, you know that's because of the ATC's detected some movement there and just trying to stabilise things. If you have been running the fridge off that plug, you need to come around this side. It's got a safety feature built in to stop your car from being run flat overnight if you forget to unplug it. None of the lights in the caravan will work until you've reset this circuit breaker down here. So I don't know if you can see that. In here, circuit breaker here. So you just hit that to reset that, and then wait about 5 seconds, and then you can connect it back up again, and that'll just reset the lights inside so they'll work. Right here, I've got a couple of little wheel chocks that you can lift up, put under the wheels. So if you've got the van parked on a bit of a hill, good idea to put those behind the wheels before you unhook the caravan from the car, because even if you've got the handbrake on, sometimes that can actually fail. So you want to make sure you got the wheel chocks on behind the wheels before you disconnect the car, just to be safe. Alright, so we've got everything disconnected now. Just make sure you got it wound up enough to move the car out of the way. Now, when you're trying to get the caravan level, grab your wrench there. And this is the remote for the power movers, so you can actually move the caravan into the right spot once you get on site. Now, when you're engaging the motor movers, you push this across, push it towards the back to engage it. You hear that click? That means the other side, the mover on the other side is also engaged. If you don't hear that click, then you'll have to go to the other side and engage that one as well with the tool. Sometimes it doesn't quite engage properly, usually it does, but if you don't hear that click, make sure you go over to the other side and engage the other side as well. And then you turn it on by double clicking the power button, and then if you've got it facing the way the caravan normally goes, the different buttons will turn the caravan or drive it forwards and backwards. Yeah, just make sure before you move the caravan that there's nothing in the way of the caravan that you're going to hit, so do a bit of a walk around. Then make sure you take the handbrake off, so there's a bit of force required just to push that down, and then you're right to move. So watch here, you can see the back of the car here. If I hold the backwards button, the caravan will start to move backwards away from the car. Now, to get it in the right position, I'm going to have a look at the level here and try and get the bubble in the middle. So at the moment it's a bit to that side, to the left, so we need to move the passenger side of the caravan up a bit higher to move the bubble further over to the centre. So usually you could use a ramp to do that. So you can take that out and put it under the wheel, and then you can use the control to drive up onto the ramp. So you get it level. And now we get it's pretty level there, so then you can just raise or lower the jockey wheel at the front and get it right in the centre. So probably need to go up a bit more onto that ramp. Alright, now what I usually do is go a bit further up the ramp than I need to. And when you release the motor movers, it will move forward a bit. So before you release the motor movers, because they're holding it at the moment, make sure you put the handbrake back on. As you'll see when I disengage the motor movers, it will move forward a bit. So make sure you got that handbrake on. Make sure everyone's out of the way. There you go, moved a little bit, but chocked in there. Alright, so that's set up. Just important to make sure those are disengaged before you drive anywhere, otherwise you'll destroy them. Alright, so you've got the caravan in position, it's level. Now you want to put down the stabiliser legs. So one on each corner. Handy if you've got a drill, you can use that on. Otherwise there is a hand winder in the front boot, but it takes a lot longer. Just put that on. Down, just make sure you pull that flat when it hits the ground. Now these aren't to actually lift up the caravan, they're just to get it, just to hold it stable. So make sure you get it level before you put them down. Don't use them to try and level the caravan because they're not strong enough to do that. They're just to stop it rocking. So go around and do all 4 of those. Back. Now sometimes the back ones, if you're on a bit of a slope, they won't go all the way down to the ground. So you need to put a block of wood underneath, and there's a couple of blocks of wood in the front boot if you need to do that. Once you've got it level, we're going to hook up the power and water. So power cable's in the front here. Just because I'm at home, I've already got one out. So we'll just put that up. So this is a converter that converts from 15 amps to 10 amps if you're going to connect it up at home or somewhere that doesn't have 15 amp power. So you can put that up. Otherwise, if you're at a caravan park or something, they'll have 15 amps and you just use the extension cord. Yeah. It's on. Get the water up now. So. There's two hoses in here. So I've got one there with a double end on it, so usually use that. I'll have to screw that onto the tap at the caravan park. I don't need that at the moment because I'm at home. So there's 2 hoses. There's one that's a bit longer than the other. So if you need to use both of them, you can join them together with that joiner. Otherwise you can have one for the caravan and one you can just hook up a hose in case you need to wash anything. Need the longer one here. Right, so that just connects inside here. Alright, and turn on the water. So with the gas, the one tank here, just make sure that blue tap's turned to the side that the gas is plugged in, and then you just undo that to turn the gas on. That's to, if you're free camping, you can run the fridge off that and also the hot water. Otherwise just for your cooking, when you're plugged into power, use it for the stove and the oven. Now also under here you got the grey water hose. I'll show you where that goes, down the back behind this wheel here, the pipe there that it connects to. And you pull your pipe out, there's actually 2 pipes in here. You put that one onto there and then run it to your drain. So I said there's 2 pipes in here with a connector, so usually the one pipe's long enough. If you need to use the second pipe, you can just push the end into there and join them together. And On this side, this is the cover for the hot water service when you're using it on gas. So if you're using it on 240 volts, you can leave this on. But if you're going to use the gas booster, you got to take that cover off just by removing that clip. And then just usually put the clip back on there so you don't lose it. And put the cover just under in there. I'll put that back on for now. Make sure you put it back on before you travel. Keep dust and stuff out of there. Alright, so once you've parked the van and put the stabilisers down and plugged in the water and the power, first thing you want to do is turn on the fridge. Now there's three options. You've got 240 volts there. You've got gas, which lights automatically once you turn the gas on at the front, and then you've got battery power as well. That's for when you're actually driving, if you've got an Anderson plug connected, which you don't at the moment, that's why it's not working. So you just put it on 240 volts, turn it off for now. Now inside, you've got the freezer here. Down here you've got a little fan inside the fridge which you can turn on. That just sort of helps circulate the air a bit. It is connected to the light in the fridge, so it will give a warning buzzer when you've got it on. So yeah, obviously don't have it on when you're inside the van, but it's good for cooling down the fridge when you first turn it on. And when you get to the site, turn it on for an hour or so just to circulate the air and cool it down a bit quicker. There's a couple of these bars here, so they're just sort of spring loaded just to sit, make sure stuff doesn't fly out as you're driving. So yeah, good idea to use those. You can adjust the length of them just by sort of screwing them. Now also for the fridge, up here there's an extra little fan to help the fridge when it's a bit hotter. So I'd say, you know, when it's over 25 or something, it's good to have this fan on. So usually I just leave it on auto mode there, which has got a thermostat. At the moment the light's red, which means it's not on. If it gets hot, the fan will come on automatically, so I usually just leave that on auto. You got a voltmeter here, tells you what the voltage of the battery is. So pretty high at the moment because it's been charged by the solar panels. You got the solar regulator up there. Now switch panel here, you can turn on the master 12 volts water pump. So that's only if you're using the tank water. If you're connected to mains, you don't need that on. And you've got the main light switch here. That turns on the power basically to all the 12 volt points in the caravan. So you've got a 12 volt point there and a USB port that runs off that light circuit. The TV power runs off the same circuit as well. And a couple of USB and 12 volt points in each of the bunks as well down there. So and you've got the different lights around the caravan all marked on here. You've also got, with the dining light, it's also got a dimming function. Yeah, touch that button in the middle, various levels. Now, just when you're free camping, the little key here for the motor mover power, so usually you can leave that in, it's not a problem, but if you're going to be free camping, probably a good idea to take that key out so you're not wasting power having that on standby. It doesn't use too much, but if you're going to be free camping and you're worried about running out of power, best to take that out. Also with the lights, this light in the middle is the best one to use. Doesn't use much power, especially if you've got it on dim. The strip lights around the edges there use quite a bit of power, so yeah, if you're free camping and trying to save power, I'd stay away from using those strip lights. Just use the main dining light and the kitchen light up there. That'll help you save some power. And the TV uses quite a bit of power as well, so you can still use the TV for a bit, but yeah, if you're leaving it on all day long, then yeah, you might run the battery flat, so just try and use that sparingly. Now, once you've hooked up the water, or turned the water pump on, with the hot water system, down here, there's a couple of valves down here that we use to get the air out of the system before you start using the water. So there's this one here, which you can turn that on, just lets the water out the bottom, get all the air out of the system, and then once you've done that for about 5 seconds, then you pull this one to let the air out of the hot water system until it sort of stops. All the air bubbles are out of there and it's just smooth water coming through, so that usually takes about 5-6 seconds as well. And then you can switch on the power for the 240 volts. And if you're using gas, there's a switch over here which I'll show you. So that's the gas there, so you got 60 degrees or 70. So obviously the 70 degrees is going to be a bit hotter, so the water lasts a bit longer, but uses more gas. Now with the water pump running off the pump at the moment, you see when I turn the water on, you can hear the pump running, and then it's just turned off. So you may need to adjust. This is the pressure switch here for when you're using the water pump. If the pump doesn't turn off when you turn the tap off, then you need to turn this anti-clockwise until the pump turns off when you turn the tap off. It'll usually run for a couple of seconds, but then it should stop once you've turned the tap off. If it doesn't, turn that anti-clockwise. If it starts making a clicking noise, then you want to turn it clockwise, basically until the pump comes on, and you know you've gone too far, then you turn it back a bit until the pump turns off. Now down here, the bathroom, so on the roof here you've got a light just there, and you've also got an exhaust fan here, just a little switch there, so it's pretty handy when you're having a shower. Gets the steam out, otherwise it gets quite steamy in there. And here you've got the window bathroom. Put that up, and the blind, got the fly screen there, and you can adjust the height of that, so you can sort of put it up a bit higher when you're having a shower so people can't see in, but you still let some airflow get through to get the steam out. Just make sure when you're putting this blind up and down, just make sure if you've had it up when you've been having a shower, before you put it down, make sure you've dried that blind with some paper towel or tea towel, because if you roll it up when it's wet, it's going to go all sort of mouldy and gross, so just make sure you do that. With the shower, you can't adjust the pressure, it's just the temperature, so the higher up you go, the hotter it goes, and if you only just turn it on a bit, it's just going to be cold water, so you can work that out. Now in terms of storage, you've got under the bed here, a fair bit of space under there, so you've got the shade sail there for the awning, and the floor mat, which is good if there's sort of dirt outside the van. Helps keep the van a bit cleaner. You don't really need it if it's a nice grassy site or if there's a concrete slab. And you've got the hanging rack there, just hang a bit of washing up on. That extends out, fairly simple to use. Little dustpan and broom and stool for sort of helping reach things in the van if you're a bit shorter. Over the top you've got the cupboards, all got the little clips on them to open them up. Down the back got these little hooks sort of around the shower inside to hang your towels and stuff off. Cupboard here, your hanging space. You hang up put your hangers sort of backwards, hook them around the back of there. That'll help stop them falling off when you're driving. And you've got drawers down here to use, put some clothes in. Just make sure you don't fill them up too much, otherwise they do get stuck. If anything gets sort of stuck behind it, you can take the drawers out completely. Be hard to see, but down the side here there's some little black tabs that you can lift up to pull the drawer right out. There's one on each side. Lift them up and slide the drawer off the runners if you need to. And then down here you've got the circuit breaker there for the 240 volts. If you try and use too many appliances at once, that will trip. So you just lift that up, open it up and flick it back on and reset it if that happens. Yeah, you've also got in here, you got your fire alarm up here, or smoke alarm I should say. So if that goes off because you're using the toaster or something, you can just push the button to reset it. Just make sure you've got a few windows or something open if you're using the toaster. You've got the fire extinguisher just down here underneath the TV, and under here you've got the fire blanket. Up in this top cupboard you've got tea towel, some soap and dishwashing liquid, bin bag, a little brush for washing the dishes. You've got a cloth, pink cloth for cleaning the kitchen and the fridge and table and stuff. So with the cleaning I just use the dishwashing detergent and some hot water. Don't use any sort of harsh cleaners because you damage the surfaces. A little plunger here, just good for if the sink gets a bit clogged or something. Give it a couple of pumps and that'll sort of get the water flowing again. Try not to squash any food down there because it will get stuck. It's only a very small plug hole. So make sure you clean your dishes, clean all the food off them into the bin before you wash the dishes. Avoid that problem. And when you're cleaning the shower, same thing. Just use as a cloth in the cupboard here, so the blue cloths for the shower, cleaning around the outside of the toilet and I guess the floor if there's anything spilt. And got the Dettol wipes here, which I use those to clean the toilet itself and inside the toilet. That's the only thing I use those for. And you got some chopping boards under here to use. Make sure you do use them. Don't cut anything on this glass lid because it will scratch. There's a couple of scratches on there. And obviously don't cut anything on the bench top or on the table. Just in terms of when you're storing things in the van, don't leave anything sort of sitting out where it's going to rub on something. You can see here in the sink there's a few marks from leaving a pot in there while the caravan's moving. It tends to sort of scratch things from the vibrations. Same as in the van here, don't leave anything sort of just sitting around on the floor because it does slide around and damage things or if it's leaning up against something, it'll rub and leave marks. So just be careful when you're loading the van that everything's tucked away under the bed or in the cupboards and not going to move around and damage anything. Down the bottom here you got drying rack. So usually use that over here, folds out, folds up. So we've got an extra little bench here for that. So make sure you push those legs up underneath. Make sure they're pushed right up, it's stable. And you can sort of sit that on there, close up the little plug there so the water doesn't go out all over the floor. Do your dishes, and then you can move it out of the way and let the water drain out there. Just make sure with this it won't take a lot of weight, so make sure the kids don't hang off it or anything, and when you're unlocking it you just push these down a bit and then it'll just fold in like that. So yeah, just try and keep that folded in so it doesn't accidentally get broken. I've got a little shelf up here which you can put your dishwashing stuff on and other bits and pieces, a couple of rails for tea towels and stuff. Up here you got the kettle, so you can sit that up on there, but when you're actually using it you're better off to put it down on the bench, but you can sort of store it up there out of the way. Just got some containers to put your food and stuff in, stop it sliding around everywhere. And you've got all your utensils and stuff in here, TV remote. Yeah, TV is pretty straightforward over there. And you got your bowls and plates and cups and stuff down here. And right down the bottom you got pot and pan and toaster, first aid kits down there. And here's the oven, never been used so far, but yeah, tray and stuff in there, so if you are going to use it obviously take all the plastic and everything out. We just use it to store bread and stuff like that in at the moment because it sort of keeps the bread cool and doesn't get too hot. Microwave's up here. Again, if you're going to use it, take out this stuff and there you go, the glass tray there, take that out and pop it in. But make sure when you're travelling you put the glass tray back in that polystyrene, otherwise it'll fly around and could smash. So gas stove, lift that up. Pretty simple, you just turn the knobs, hold them down and do the clicker like that to get them going. Alright. Alright, that's it. The aircon's up here. So that's the remote for the aircon, you've got all the different settings there, pretty straightforward. Work that out. Up here you got the radio. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory there. Yeah, for the TV you got the aerial, so you wind that up with this. All the way up. Alright, and then just make sure before you leave, wind it back down again. You'll see that up on the roof when you go outside when it's up. So you've got cabinets all the way around, so they've all got these little latches on them to stop them coming open while you're driving, so make sure you release them before you try and pull them open, otherwise they're not going to open. You've got a few little lights around the place. Light switch up here, the lights around the sides. TV locks in under here. There's actually a little lock you've got to push up and then you pull it out. So make sure you sort of pull it out by this bottom bracket. If you try and pull by the TV it won't actually come out. And then once it's released then you can move the TV around so you can move it out to whichever angle you need. You can see here that's the lock there that locks it in, so when you want to put it back in, fold it up, push that up, push it down, and then that's locked in place for while you're driving. The blinds on the windows, so basically the front blind here, you just got to, when you push it right down, just sort of push it in towards the window to lock it in, and then when you want to bring it up, just pull it down back up again. There's a couple of spots you can lock it sort of halfway, and then behind that you got the fly screen if you want to open the window and shut the fly screen. Same thing with that, just pull it down and push it in, and that locks it in place. These hatches, put them up, you just squeeze in the handles and push them up, and then just pull them down when you want to close them. There is fly screens and shades on these as well, so you want to keep the sun out, all the bugs out. Make sure you do close them before you drive anywhere. And yeah, make sure all the windows and everything are all locked in the lock position. There's a fan up here, so it's got a switch just here. So there's 3 different speeds and off, and if you hold the button down for 2 seconds, it also oscillates. Just hold the button down again for 2 seconds to stop it. So that's pretty handy at night when you don't want to have the aircon on. And that's just powered up here. There's a plug up here that plugs into there. Now for the kids' beds, a couple of little fans here, USB fans. So you can just plug them in into the corners. And away you go. It won't hurt the kids, they're just little rubber fans. Just get a bit of airflow. But don't leave them switched on all night. Particularly if you're running off the battery and not plugged into 240 volts. If you've got all the fans going all night, you'll probably run the battery flat. So just be careful with that. Windows, unlock them like that. And just push them out to open them, and you can sort of click them into different spots. And then if you want to close it, push it all the way up. Just, there you go. Now with these windows, they do play up a little bit. Sometimes they get stuck where they won't come down. This one's working at the moment. But if it does happen to get stuck and you can't get it to release and come down, got some of this in the front tool bag, WD-40 silicone, so you can just spray a little bit of it into the corners there on each side. I'll leave it for about 10 minutes or so, and then the window should work. Just make sure you've got a rag or some paper towel there to make sure you clean up any overspray or anything that drips out, so it doesn't go on the window or on the side of the van. And yeah, that should get it working again. So before you get ready to leave or drive anywhere with the caravan, just go around and make sure all the windows are all locked in place. Also remember to make sure that the antenna's down, so make sure it's wound all the way in the down direction till it stops turning. Make sure these skylights are shut as well, all the way down. Make sure the fridge is obviously shut, and just all the cupboards and everything are all clipped in and locked. Make sure the shower door here is locked up. So at the moment it's in a locked position. So it's got this little latch here which locks it in there, and also down here this little catch stops it from coming out. When you're undoing that, just squeeze that and then it'll come off. If you just try and pull it, it won't come off, so you got to squeeze that little bit out. It comes off there. Yeah, just make sure everything's closed and locked basically. So the microwave's got the polystyrene in there, it's a glass, and pretty much ready to go. Make sure the gas is turned off at the front. So lock the door when you're going to travel, make sure it doesn't come open while you're driving. Make sure it's locked. Make sure the steps are pushed in. Fold these legs up on this one in the front. Now the lock that's on the front, it's on at the moment to stop it from getting pinched while you're parked up. So take that off, just put the key in, pull that out, it comes off. So same when you're putting it on, basically you just got to put this ball under here, like that. That goes in, and you slide this onto the handle. Turn it, pull it out, you can see that's gone all the way in there, can't get that off. Put the stabiliser legs up. So with the water, when you wind it up, disconnect both ends, just hold it up nice and high in the air so the water drains out the bottom. Get rid of that. And then just make sure you connect it up to the other end of that. And close both of those taps, so that way if there is any more water in it, it won't leak out in the caravan. That up to itself, so again it's not going to leak. Just chuck it in the front. Close that up, make sure all these are shut nice and tight. You can lock them while you're driving. Same key for all the locks. There is another hatch here as well. So that's another hatch there. We can store stuff. This actually lifts up and you can lock that up the front to use that as a storage spot. There's a couple of locks on the inside there. You can push it right up and lock it in place.
I think we're gonna wait.
Generally you don't want to put too much weight in the back of the caravan, otherwise it sort of makes it unstable. So probably load things up in the front, under the front bed first before you use that spot. This is the water tank. So there's a 120 litre water tank underneath. So you can use that if you're going to free camp. There's a water pump that'll siphon water out of there if they're not connected to the mains. So now that we've disconnected the water and gas, disconnect the drainage hose as well. I haven't got it connected at the moment. So yeah, when we're ready to go, obviously take that off. Then we want to make sure the handbrake's on.
A football pumper.
I'm going to use the motor movers to get it up. So I'll engage them first.
I'm gonna watch, guys.
Taking all the stabilisers up. Now we're going to use the motor movers to get the caravan off the ramp. I'll double click it to turn it on. Now take the brake off. Now come around to where the ramp is. So get it back off the ramp. Get it up a bit so we can get the chock out. And then drive it forward. ramp out. Pack that up in a minute. Now just make sure once you're finished using the motor movers, come around and put the handbrake on. So if I was hooking you up to a car now, I'd get this in position over the tow ball with the motors, and you put the handbrake on and yeah, lower the jockey wheel so you can get the tow ball hitched in. So usually I'd have this lock off. I'll take it off now just to show you anyway. Alright, so imagine this is our tow ball in our car. Get it in the right spot, pull that up, and then wind the jockey wheel down to lower it in. And then basically once that's in the right spot, that will lock back down again. If that's not down, it means it's not hitched on properly. And then once you got that on, push that all the way down to lock onto the tow ball. And then you want to hook up, that's your emergency brake cord. So if the caravan somehow does come off the tow ball, that'll get pulled by a car and it will release, turn the handbrake on so the caravan doesn't go off down the road. And hook on your safety chain as well. Make sure that's got a little bit of slack in it, but not too much slack that it's dragging on the ground. And then hook up your power cables as well, so you've got your and then once you're ready to go, make sure you take your handbrake off and make sure the motor movers are disengaged. So down here, always check that before you drive anywhere, because if they're still engaged, that will do a lot of damage. So if you want to disengage it and you move the roller forward, then you pull the bar forward and then backwards if you want to engage it. Alright, one last thing you usually do before you drive off is just go around and check that all the wheel nuts are nice and tight with that before you drive off, because they do sometimes come loose. And that's about it. Make sure your gas is turned off front, which is in here. So just screw that in tight on the gas there. There is provision for a second gas bottle if you need it, but most cases one of these big 9 kilo ones will last you a fairly decent trip. And that's it.